Hi, it's Friday, the 27th of November 2020, and it's Sun in Sagittarius and it's Moon in waxing Taurus. And today is a really big day. So we're here and we are on blue solar night. So the gateway day. Solar is number 9, and we're on the 9th day of Blue Eagle, planetary server, and the gateway of the conscious dreamer. So the planet today for Blue Night is Saturn. So it's about our Saturnian patterns and how, when we become an expert on them, we can really start to work at rewiring them using Chiron, our wounds. So where Chiron is in our chart is key, where Saturn is in our chart is key. And using the power of Uranus, so where Uranus is in our chart is key, we can start to bring light to the situation and rewire our story and our patterns and our codes through healing. So at the moment, we've got Taurus is at 5 degrees. So I'm just going to read you the sigil from that. Tiny porcelain figures of people wandering along the forgotten places. You feel saturated with memories and reflections, enchanted and left alone to sift through all of it in your own good time. Subtly and pervasively removed from what is going on around, you are adrift in your own inward pictures. What comes of this is highly variable. It can be a fertile cycle to melt into the moon and come out refreshed and rewoven. It can be heavily seductive and habit forming, in which case you sink into a world apart and are really held there in subtle chains. Or it can be a secret doorway into the fairy kingdoms in order to commune with those who animate the elements and the inner worlds. One way or another, it is one of those regions that you can never navigate through unless you belong there. And if you do, you may be lost there or you may be found there, with everything dependent upon your heart force and your depth of resolve to stay faithfully with the subtle cues. Not read that one before, I have no recollection of that one. It's really, really lovely. So today we are going back to when, if you look back there, we've got number 1 there, which is when the Cosmic Dreamer 13-day process was initiated. So that's a very, very key date. Of course, as a conscious dreamer, what that means to me is we're the Skywalker. Red Skywalker is part of this tribe. And the human being who is different to other human beings because they've decided to do something about their family ancestral patterning in order to create heaven on earth for themselves. So by understanding the patterns, understanding what has created their genealogy, their life experience up to now, and by healing what doesn't work, what's caused wounding, they then start to live a much more heavenly life because they're at peace with the past. And they are taking that learning and that healed space into a very different space. And this is what I offer you. This is what we're all here to do at this time in our own way. Some people doing it consciously, some people doing it unconsciously, but the group of Red Skywalker and Blue Night is also Yellow Star and White Mirror. So if you're one of these Mayan signs or you know somebody who is, then this is key to understanding your Saturnian patterns. So with conscious dreamer code, who is that in your family? So for me, the family pattern that I'm mainly working through is my grandmother on one level, because she's a Red Skywalker. And then I've got my dad and my uncle who are white mirrors. And that is what I have mapped up to now, what I've come across up to now. Other people I've come across in my circle who are yellow stars and who are blue knights. But so far, nobody in my family itself, family circle, has got that code. So this is the way that you can really start to work with this. And I'm just going to show you my chart. So I know I talk about these things, but I don't often show them on key videos. I tend to do this more with my clients, but just to give you an idea. So today, I've been really focusing on my chart and some of my family's chart as well, and seeing the significance of the full moon and the lunar eclipse that's coming up on Monday, and to see how it affects me. And this again is something that I do with my clients so they can really work consciously. So here's Gemini, and this is what's coming up on Monday, and it's going to be at 8 degrees, 0.38. So some people use 8 and some people use 9, depending on their preference. So anything that's close to that number, you can see these little numbers here, anything that's close to that is going to be affected really, really powerfully. And so here I've got an asteroid in here called Astrea, and I'm going to say a little bit more about that in a moment. And here is my North Node in Gemini, which looks like a little pair of earphones. So that's the North Node. And the South Node is in the opposite sign, which is Sagittarius. So we're in Sagittarius at the moment. And my midheaven, that's what that is there, is in Sagittarius. So I'm in my heavenly time at the moment. This is the 10th house. Again, you can see these little numbers here. And the 10th house is the heart's desire. So it's a time of really creating heaven on earth for me. Had my daughter on the 18th of December. And so nearly 22 years ago, I would have been preparing for her birth now. And so lots of echoes around that time. And again, the more you know about yourself as an individual and you start recording your patterns, you start to bring them to conscious awareness. And this is what I offer you. This is what consciousness is. When people talk about consciousness, it's about personal consciousness as a priority and understanding oneself. And as a Skywalker, this is what we're here to do. As you can see here, the list of the charts, moon in Taurus there at 8 degrees, so we're at 5 degrees. So again, I know that around about 9 o'clock tonight, it's going to be hitting my moon. And so I can work with that with conscious awareness as to new learning coming to light. And there's my moon there in my second house. And so often my learning comes from others. And this, of course, in the Mayan is lunar, day 2 of every 13-day cycle. So just to focus on these, so this is a really sort of key area that's coming up for me on Monday as a conscious dreamer. And so how is that impacting in my chart? So I've been doing some more research. I did this back in April, and so back in back in around Taurus time. And another significant time at the moment is May 2002. That's really coming up as a repeating pattern. So again, I'm writing a book at the moment, which is based really at that time, and or when I moved to that area. I'm writing about that area that I moved to and my experiences then, because that was a real big awakening for me at that time. And I'm revisiting it with different eyes and different consciousness today. And this is the power of our experiential learning journey, isn't it? So Estrella, I looked up information about her. She was the last of the immortals to live with humans during the Golden Age. I'm reading this off Wikipedia. One of the old Greek religion's 5 deteriorating ages of man. She abandoned the earth, apparently, during the Iron Age. Fleeing from the new wickedness of humanity, she ascended to heaven to become the constellation Virgo. The nearby constellation Libra reflected her symbolic association with Dyke, who in Latin culture as Justitia is said to preside over the constellation. In the tarot, the 8th card, Justice, with a figure of Justia, can be considered related to the figure of Estrella on historical iconographic grounds. According to legend, Estrella will one day come back to Earth, bringing with her the return of the utopian golden age of which she was the ambassador. So another article that I read was really linked into Jason and the Argonauts, and again, something that I've always loved since I was a child. And so that gives you sort of a bit of an overview around the Golden Age. And she's also known as the Star Maiden or the Starry Night. And when you look at different threads, so I've Googled different threads and different interpretations. It's quite new, the asteroids, because there's thousands of asteroids. And so the astrology is being written every day by people as they're discovering this and their consciousness is changing. And so it can often take quite a big search to find things. So basically, one of the interpretations that I came across was saying that your mind in Gemini, your mind is all over the place. You need to learn to flow from one thing to the next rather than jump from one subject or project to another. Tame your jitters. And I read another thread as well, which was basically saying that Estrella energy is very idealistic, very Mills and Boone. For those of you who aren't familiar with Mills and Boone, they're known as sort of romantic novelists, and not particularly great ones, I don't think, generally speaking. But people, well, women bought them because they weren't getting that sort of romantic experience with their man. So again, Gemini is all about relationship. It's about communication. It's about how to become focused and how to maybe get a reality check sometimes around idealism and what is actually achievable in our lives as human beings. North Node in Gemini is the key transit at the moment on the planet. And again, if you Google that, that'll give you more information. This is, very simplistically, about right relationship. So about honourable relationship that's coming from integrity. And that can sometimes be extremely rare. And a key theme, I think, at the moment, a young woman notices the handsome man has fangs. So we're talking vampire here. Blows of fate, acts of God, abrupt awakenings to what was suspected but naively denied. You become drastically aware of all that was hidden and jump to conclusions. The gathering of events to prove a point, to generate a change, to draw it all out. Curiosity, probing, yet as well casual oblivion and riding high in euphoric assumptions. Setting yourself up for turnarounds, epiphanies, metanoia. the leap over the edge into the dark from the light that reveals the other side of life can generate cynicism and negative feedback loops, by the implication that behind every shining wonder there lies its reverse shadow image, the mind proving itself right and falling down its own hole. So yeah, that's been a constant theme for me in my life, of course, and key to me starting to discover narcissism and to really focus on that, to focus on energy vampiring. And, you know, it's been a key focus of my personal journey and my work. Also to study pathology around psychology and what makes human beings become vampires, become sociopaths, become psychopaths. This is really, really key at the moment. So it's something that you're seeking to understand what's happening on planet Earth. Then doing your own research in this area is really, really key. At one time, there wasn't a huge amount of information about narcissists because narcissists don't believe that they have any issues. They don't have the problem everyone else does. So they don't seek help. They don't think that they've got anything wrong with them. So why would they seek help? They just tend to cause havoc for other people, and as do sociopaths. And that this is a key thing, because these personality traits, which are often called disorders, don't have empathy for other people. So that often causes huge wounding for other people. And now there's so much more information out there, and just Google it and just have a look for yourself at what you find. Chances are, if you're watching this, then you will have been on the receiving end of that sort of behaviour. And again, like I say, this is very, very strong at the moment. So if you have a chart, then you can start to look at it and look at anything around, in particular, Gemini, around those degrees that's coming up with this moon. You can look at where Gemini is in terms of the houses as well, and start to do some research, start to learn more about this, because for me, it's in my 4th house and 5th house. But these particular planets, these north nodes, are in my 4th house, which in the traditional zodiac, that would be Cancer, and this is in the home, and this is relating to my mum and dad, who are both Geminis. And so again, looking at their charts is really helpful as well, and understanding more about patterns and more about codes is key to seeing what sort of influences our parents have had and how we can understand more about situations, understand more about how we came into being. And so all of this initially for all of us largely would be unconscious. So we'd be unconscious dreamers, just going along with things, not being particularly consciously proactive, and very much under the influence of our genes, very much under the influence of our environment. And so what we call an awakening, often we get an awakening as an individual when we have some sort of traumatic incident or something that pushes us, pushes our patterning, our coding, and usually through deep fear. So we have no choice then but to start to look at things. And in shamanic terms, this is called the assemblage point. So it's a place where we have created our map of the world up until now, And often it can be quite a fixed belief. It can be very, very naive, for want of a better word. And then something major comes along in our life, and this shift causes us to evaluate everything and start looking at the world in a different way. And so we've had this huge mystery school shift on the planet now around what we believed life was and our role in it. And now we've been shown something entirely different. So it's a key time to become very much more a conscious dreamer and to look at how this is affecting us personally in our own microcosm, and then how this reflects out into the world as the macrocosm. Because in my understanding and using all of this, which has been around for thousands and thousands of years, we can start to understand the causality of how we've come to be us, and realize that if we have been a created personality because of our life, because of our experiences, because of our beliefs that we've taken on, then we have the potentiality to change that as well. So this is what I offer you. This is the gift that this brings. This is the gift that this time brings. This is what it's all about. It's all pre-planned. And so for each Wavespell, I do a little list for myself, and because I've mapped all my code now. And so for me, Blue Eagle began in 2009 when I was 44. And so today, Blue Solar Night was 2017 for me. And that was the year that I became a Mayan elder. And so I have lots of these, and I have lots of PDFs. And I try and blog things as much as I can as well, so that that's there all the time. And I've been doing that since 2011. So I've been mapping my own journey, and I've also been mapping different codes that have come up. And I need to go back and do more of that to really focus as a reference point, so that people can look back and see the cycles as well, until they know how to do that for themselves, because that's the whole point of this. So if you want to use one of these calendars in this format and start to move the blue tack for yourself, then just go onto my website, flowwithjo.com, and go under resources and find the Mayan synchronizer, where you can click on a link and you can download it, you can print it, and you can laminate it. And then you can start moving the blue tack every day, and tuning in to whatever comes up for you. It is really, really magical what happens. So going back to that date there, that date was on the 28th of September. So again, what were you doing on that date? And so I use my phone and I go on and I look at my diary on there. And so I look at what was happening around that date. And I always put key dates in. So first of all, it's my nan's birthday, and she's a Red Skywalker. So as I mentioned before, her pattern and coding is very, very key to me. And I am reliving a lot of her patterns and a lot of her key ancestral DNA. This was also key to me this year, because a couple of days before my partner flew back to America, and so again, it's like being able to tune back into that time and look back. What did I put in? What was I experiencing at that time? This is what being conscious really means. This is what I offer you, is to begin with, when I work with a lot of people and I ask them about key dates or key times, and they don't remember, they don't think they remember, but it is all in there. It's all logged in there. Everything that we've ever done is in there. In our supercomputer, call it what you like, it's all recorded. Every single moment is in there. And we have got access to that information once we learn to become disciplined and start to call it up. And once we work with conscious intent, this is truly magical in every meaning of the word. So today I got a new book that was recommended for me, Ceremony. And again, just love the magic of, I've joined a book club on Facebook, and so things pop up there at the perfect time. And I just opened the page, and this is a poem. And I don't even know who it's by, if there's an author for it, but I'm just going to paraphrase this. So I'm guessing it is by the author Leslie Marmon Silko. And so I'm just going to select a small part of it. Caves across the ocean, in caves of dark hills, white-skinned people like the belly of a fish covered with hair. Then they grow away from the earth. Then they grow away from the sun. Then they grow away from the plants and animals. They see no life when they look. They see only objects. The world is a dead thing for them. The trees and rivers are not alive. The mountains and stones are not alive. The deer and bear are objects. They see no life. They fear. They fear the world. They destroy what they fear. They fear themselves. The wind will blow them across the ocean, thousands of them in giant boats, swarming like lava out of a crushed anthill. And so on and so on. And it is the foretelling of the Europeans coming to the Americas and the genocide that happens because of it. And the reason why I feel I was drawn to read that today is today is classed as Black Friday, and there's lots of products being sold, there's lots of stuff being sold. And in a lot of ways, in the Western world in particular, but I think virtually everywhere now, that's what life has become. It's become about consuming, getting, buying, and the soullessness of that, and the damage that it causes, and the void that it's trying to fill for us as human beings that can never be filled. This is such a key time for us as human beings to become consciously aware of who we are, what we're here for, why we came here at this time, and to really connect to our hearts where our spirit is and feel. And if we have fear, to really feel that fear and understand what it is, where it's coming from, what it's really about for us as an individual. Really get in touch with it and do something about it. Get some help with it. Learn how to help ourselves with it. And make the changes that we need to make to live a life where we're in touch with spirit and the adventure and the beauty of this world and everything in it. And to let go of these old fear stories around trying to keep ourselves safe from people who don't care who have no empathy, who are very, very damaged individuals and don't realize it. We have a template in the West that is a very unhealthy, unhappy one. And people have largely lost touch with the true essence of who they are. And that they are amazing star beings. And that our potentiality is limitless. And that we can access that limitless state of being when we get in touch with our mindset that believes that we have limits, that believes that there is scarcity, that believes that other people get to say how we live our lives in a way that isn't coming from a healthy space. We're at a crucial tipping point on the planet now. And I trust and believe that everything that's meant to happen will happen because I trust the divine. I trust the universe that I'm a part of. And at the same time, as a part of that universe, I trust that I have the courage and integrity to act as and when I feel to act, to live an empowered, loving, amazing life. As we go through this tunnel now, it's time for each one of us to heal and remember who we really are. If you'd like to know more about how to work with your star codes, how to discover them, how to create healing for yourself and your ancestral pattern coding, please do get in touch with me. The focus of my work is about self-empowerment and teaching people how to do this journey for themselves. I believe that is what this time is about. And my website is flowwithjo.com. I hope you have an amazing Gateway Day and that you are experiencing lots of joy and love today and lots of inspiration. It is an amazing time to be alive. Lots of love to you. See you soon.